original tenancy agreement still valid, or do you need to have a new tenancy agreement? Hi team, it's Kam Dovedi, the founder of Premier Property, and as per usual, I'm answering questions this week from our Premier Property community. So welcome, let's jump straight into them. Very interesting questions. We have Nilish's question. Nilish is asking, if your tenant has been living in your property for a few years and is now on a monthly rolling contract, is the original tenancy agreement still valid, or do you need to have a new tenancy agreement? Nilish, that is such a question that I get asked so many times. So here is your options. Now, you can keep the same tenancy agreement, and that will be absolutely fine. That is known as, if this is new for you, that is known as periodic. So the tenancy becomes periodic, and you can rely upon the original tenancy agreement, and you can rely on that for 10 years. You may get hit with a council tax bill just because you don't have a new tenancy agreement. So do check in with your local council, with your local borough, and just find out from them how they actually work when it comes to council tax. So that really becomes a defining point. Loving the question, Nilesh. Moving on, we have a question here from Nick. Nick is asking, hi Cam, could you please advise on the timescale you should look for when buying property from estate agents, i.e. how long is the average time frame for getting sales agreed to exchange, completion, what's the quickest, how long it should be? Actually, Nick, you're asking a number of questions within that question, so let's answer these. So, in my personal experience, when we're buying properties anywhere between 7 to 12 projects on a monthly basis, if it's a quick sale, now keep in mind that a quick sale necessarily doesn't really mean a quick sale. There's normally another reason, a presenting reason, that the seller is actually asking for the quick sale, but let's not get into that right now. The fastest timescale that we've done things like this, you're looking at anywhere 7 to 14 working days is kind of the fastest that we've done this, keeping in mind that you get the sale agreed. You've then got to get your all your searches done, get all your legal sorted. So that is the fastest, but that's in extreme circumstances. The normality is, if you look at it, it'll take you circa around 2 to 4 weeks to get your searches. So you instruct your solicitors, 2 to 4 weeks to get your searches done, then you have to sign contracts, and then you have the exchange. So I would suggest that a reasonably fast timeline is a month. So a month to do all of that. Keeping in mind that at Premier Property we have hacks where we can really extend that time if you need to, which means that you can do more deals, you can buy yourself some time, and the maximum I've stretched sale agreed to is 5 months. At 5 months the vendor is almost at breaking point, and you want to keep the relationship, so that's how far as I've taken it, but typically you're looking at around a month. Now there's lots of hacks around that as well. I've got so much to share with you, but I'm just going to answer your question directly. So that's a time scale for sale agreed. When it comes to exchange and completion, so at Premier we've done this typically within 4 to 6 weeks. But the exchange, remember you're waiting for the mortgage to happen as well, so you've got the mortgage process to be aware of. But between exchange and completion, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks, like what I say. Sometimes we extended that to 3 months to buy some time. Sometimes we've extended it to 9 months. That's usually on developments that we're doing. And we control the property in the process, and get planning and subject to finance and all these kind of things that you can do. These lovely creative things that you can be doing in property, which is what I love about property, all these creative things. I would say the maximum that we've done at Premier between exchange and completion is 12 months, which we stretch then to 15 months. So that's the kind of timescales you can stretch it to, and each one of these timescales has a benefit. Yeah, we don't just stretch it for the reason of stretching it, we stretch it because you can do more, and so you can create creative deals and so on. So hope that helps, Nick. There's a number of timescales I've just shared there with you. And it's a case of what works for the seller and what works for you, and you can work to that timescale. So let's move forward. So that's the next question. Reza is asking a really good question. So Reza is asking, hi Kam, how can you exit your exit capital if getting discount on a purchase price, but the bank will value the property at the purchase price that you're or below? So Reza, I get you. So example is you're buying a £500,000 property or value of £500,000, but you've worked your skills and you've got it at 350,000, and the value is going to come in, and yes, you're quite right, they will value it at the maximum of either the purchase price or the valuation that they're putting on the property, and they will value it at the lower figure. So you can be buying that property valued at 500, but if you're purchasing is 350, the value will come in and value it at 350, in my experience. And if you have got that property secured at 350, but the valuer feels that it's only worth 300, well, they can then down value it to 300. They'll never, in my experience, up value it. So that's the way. That's two modes of operation in terms of value figures. Now, how do you now release that equity? How do you release that money? How do you get a high valuation? So what we do is at Premier is we will go for a refinance. Now, the refinancing doesn't work if it's typically with the same mortgage company, because they will already have a record of what you purchased and so on, etc. And you're doing everything the right way, but they frown upon a little bit. You getting a valuation that's higher within a short period of time. So the way that you can get your property valued higher, what we do is that we go to a different mortgage company, a different lender. Obviously, I can't give you mortgage advice, but this is what we're doing. So you go to another mortgage lender, and another surveyor will come along, a different surveyor will come along. They'll value the property, and they'll value on its current merits. So if you, for example, uplifted that property by some form of adding value, such as a refurb, etc., then the new price, the new valuation will be the higher valuation. So that's the way to get around it. Now, time frames, many people think it's 6 months, that you've got to wait 6 months, but actually it's 6 months from when it's on land registry, when it's actually registered at land registry. And land registry right now can take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. So just be aware of that. So when you're refinancing, that can be not just 6 months, it can be 7 to 8 months is really what you're looking at to refinance. Having said that, there's always a workaround. And the workaround is right now, there are a number of mortgage products that we're finding that will revalue same day valuation, same day. So same day, of course, is not necessarily same day. You do that practically, it's called same day, but you can refinance after your refurb, you can give it a couple of weeks, 4 weeks, and you can still get the uplift. So be aware that there are products that will do that for you. Another added tip on top of that tip is they will work typically from the schedule of your works, not necessarily the actual invoicing for the works. So you can have an estimated schedule, and that will typically be good enough for many lenders. And do be aware also that sometimes the lenders will have a maximum of uplift that they'll allow if you're doing it day one valuations, day one remortgaging. So they will typically look at increasing the value by a further 25k. Some will, some won't. So this is a conversation you want to have with a mortgage broker right at the beginning. Hope this makes sense. So you have some of that going on. So hope that helps. Moving forward, a great question there, Reza. We got another question here from Jason Joyce. So Jason is asking, if I port a fixed rate buy-to-let mortgage for £270,000 to one of our other buy-to-let properties that is less value and only requires £200,000, will I have to pay the full £10,000 early redemption charge for the 5-year fix, or will I just have to pay a percentage of the early redemption charge? So so you asked a question all around porting. So one thing about porting, Jason, and everyone who's watching here thinking about portable mortgages are useful. But do keep in mind, so what is portable mortgages? Portable mortgages means that you have a mortgage which literally, as it says, is portable to another property. So you can take that mortgage from one property, just to clarify, if you're not aware of it, you take that mortgage and you move it to another property but the mortgage remains the same. Now, do keep in mind, it works in certain circumstances. Keep in mind that you will still have to do an application, you will still have to do a valuation. It works in instances like, as Jason is mentioning, where you've got fixed term types of products. So, Jason, in my experience, typically what you'll find is they'll port that mortgage and there'll be a bit of a wash up. So your ERCs, your early redemption charges, are usually okay. Yeah, but you want to check that with your mortgage broker because each lender is different. And you can move that mortgage over. In my experience though, really, it's worth doing this for mortgages where, you know, you've got a good rate and you've got a good fixed term. Otherwise, personally what we do is we will just remortgage the property because you're kind of doing the same amount of work anyway. So if you can find a decent rate with a decent fixed term or whatever you want to do, then why not just remortgage it, is my view. All about portable mortgages. So, nice, quick, short, sharp. I can do short, sharp. Yes, I can. Yeah, Q&A. And I will see you here same time next week. It's Kam Dovedi helping you take your property investing to the next level. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.